All right, everybody. So we had a huge update today in the Korean server based on the LOSTARK Loa-on, which is like kind of like BlizzCon where they share every single update that is coming very soon. I had that video, the Loa-on review video as well, as you guys seen before. So if you look at the first roadmap, basically this month, ending this month, we have a new island that does events, and they're going to focus on the QoL section here. So this week was the first patch. I thought it was gonna be another patch next week. It'll be like split in half, but it feels like since they want to go up on a holiday, I think they pushed up a lot of stuff today. We're gonna go over most of them in very details because it may impact you guys in the future for the Western server, and I'll give you my feedback on some of the stuff that is applicable for you guys, because I'm pretty sure some of you are worried about gold nerfs, like honing buffs, etc. Like, when's it coming out? Is it gonna be? Should I be worried or anything? So let's get to it right away. So this kind of stuff, I don't think we're not gonna talk about it as much. There's Arc Pass, Freya Island. So this is basically your Maraka Island version for winter. You guys will probably have it maybe, one time in the future if they happen to decide to do any of the events soon. And this is a Hyper Express. It's the exact same Hyper Express, but it's going up to 1490. And you guys have experienced Hyper Express before, so I don't really need to explain too much in detail. From now on, if you get a Hyper Express for Korea, you get additional loot for the Legion raids. For example, you see this additional horns. Decrease the amount of weeks that you need to get all the relic gears now. And for as far as I know, it was limited to 5 characters, but I couldn't find the UI that shows it there. In long story short, you just get additional Legion raid items for you to build your relics faster. Now, this is a new system over here too. I didn't really touch it because I'm waiting for the Slayer to come out to do my Hyper Express. What this essentially is, you can choose 4 engravings and you'll have it. I don't know how the combat stats will work for this, but I'm assuming you just get the combat stats for like a bad engraving because it'll be much cheaper, right? I don't know what you would spend peons for that, but essentially you just have that and then you have a set engraving for you, just a 4-3. Problem is this going to impact gatekeeping, all this stuff? I'm pretty sure most of the guys will not allow a 4x3 joining Broshaza, right? Unless you're playing it with like friends. But I heard like there's some new players now, so probably do it that way. But essentially, they're trying to figure out new ways to incorporate passive things to give to newer players so that they can start raiding right away. And as you can see, this is not permanent. It ends at like April 12th, as you see here. And if it finishes, the engraving just disappears. You go to a Legion raid, and if you go in, if you forget to buy the additional loot, now you can select it within the selection of the Legion raid. It will appear right here. So if you happen to forget, you can click it and buy it again, which is pretty pog, which they should have added way earlier. So there's a point here, and super important part, there's a gold adjustment for every single raid. So for Akan, hard 3, has increased into 1,000 gold. Well, it's better than nothing, I guess. But people have been complaining that, oh, only 1,000 gold. But the hardest raid itself is it gives you 3,750 gold now instead of 2,750. Valton normal gives you 500 and 700, which is 1,200 total with the 700 on buying box. And Vicus normal gives you 400, 500 plus 700, which is 1,600. Valton hard and Vicus hard, which is the important part, is it went from 4,500 to 1,800. So the reason why this happened, if I give you guys a little bit of context, is going into the Loa on description here. The gold creation, right, of Valton and Vicus hard is 35%. In the before I kind of complained about like what's the 64.9. And after this particular 1460 help, which we're going to cover after this, it is estimated to be at 42.9% and then 57.1. Essentially, what this means is players like me who have 1600 eye level character, or players who have closer to some character with a con, we have a problem where each character makes about like 11k, and players with, let's say, 6 Valton Vicus Hards are making like, let's say 9K, those guys are using Hyper Expresses, and they're also using like Story Expresses to make characters in every single server and rotate it by taking buses. So having multiple account yields way more gold than having yourself invest into a higher level character and make gold from there. So the gap is like, there's no real point of honing to a higher eye level because you make more gold by making additional characters. And this was a thing that I always complained about multi-accounters. As in, you just make a multi-accounter with additional characters because you're limited to 6 characters to make gold anyways. So what you do is you make 6 characters, you make 6 characters again by utilizing Hyper Expresses, right? Or additional accounts, knowledge transfers or whatever. Get that there with the minimum amount, and then you just take buses. So he has mentioned it. The director has mentioned it, and the usage of gold is about this high. So he decides to lower the amount of gold that to lower the gold to match it up. So to me, this would have been a band-aid solution. So I was really worried about it, right? Because if you do this again, are you going to do it again in the future? Like, what is the fundamental issues of it? I think multi-accounters is the fundamental issue, even though he mentioned it as only 6.8% is multi-accounting. But this is a whole different can of worms, so I'm not going to go too much in detail. I didn't know it was going to be this early, because if this particular change was going to happen today, maybe he should have mentioned it in Loa, right? But he didn't mention anything that when this is going to happen. He may have just forgot, right? So, but besides this point, this is what happened. So you have less gold gain on Legion raids. Now, what you guys have, so the players in NA might think about it this way. For example, oh, so what about NA, right? What happens to NA then? This particular gold nerf, I don't think it won't happen until you guys have a con, because it doesn't make sense. The inflation itself is worse, or due to a special occasion of like bots and stuff, right? If bots tend to start taking Valton buses and all this stuff and cause a huge inflation, maybe this kind of gold adjustment may happen earlier. But again, since you guys only have Bro Shaza, Clown, and then Valton and Vicus, you guys don't have another set of gold income. So in this case, you don't have to worry about it too much. I would watch out on making additional characters or even additional accounts, because later on, they're trying to figure out a way to adjust that accordingly. Okay, let's talk about some of the good stuff that you guys will be excited about, because as far as I know, QOL related, quality of life related patches happen very quickly. NA server, if they really care about NA server, instead of content, you guys should always get the balance patches really quickly and quality of life patches really quickly to make the game more enjoyable, because that's what quality of life does. It just makes the game more enjoyable to play. For card system, we have something like automatic addition, as in, for example, if I press this button here, if I open my card pack, if it's a duplicate, it automatically adds it into my library. So if I open the 55 packs of these to maximum, this is another QOL. You don't open by tens anymore. So I'm going to show you by open 54. If I open it up, you'll see a bunch of cards and disappear. They added it. These are not my duplicates. Oh, well, these are favorited cards, sorry. Because I marked it as I will see my favorited cards. Another card thing is, this is what I was excited about, is if you press the collection, you can filter it by the amount of attributes. As in, I can have this set if I leveled it up. This is by HP. This is by demon damage. So all my demon damage is done. Now, if I want to go like, I kind of want to increase the immortal damage because Akan is immortal. I want to get ready for Kaingil because Kaingil is human damage. So if I click human, I can see what am I missing, like that, like real quickly. Now, so this is another QOL. It's like a cosmetic thing. For example, you can set up your wallpaper. So if I press it now, it shows a window instead of like a big the flow chart of like stupid stuff. So if I press this particular button, I can select any wallpaper from the ones that I have. So every time I log in, I'm just going to see different wallpapers. And then you also have Alt X for UI. There we go. So for you guys, when you want to take a group photo for your roster, this is another option. So for your item dictionary, most people don't know this actually. If you press Alt D, you get to see every single item that exists in this game. So whenever you guys are wondering about like Yowen Rune here, the codex itself, you can favorite now. You can favorite things that what you're missing. And then you can only favorite 30 of them, but you can also checklist that the items that you don't have. Right? Items like you don't have. You can check it, you can filter it that way too. It also, and at the item codex at the same time, it shows you that you have it already. I had this problem where I got an island soul from one of my ult, and I didn't know what ult it was. So I had to log into every single ult and check my storage to see who has that goddamn last island soul. Now you can check it on your codex. It says, if you highlight it, it says this character has this particular island soul. So they're adding all these attributes for you to see, to organize your things in general for roster-wide stuff. Now, another QOL thing that happened here is the party finder. So the party finder changed in terms of filtering now. So let's say, this is actually pretty funny. So let's say you scroll up, you can actually add filters now. So if I say minus bus, I won't be able to see bus. But this guy also added the G, right? So if I added minus G, you don't see it no more. So if you happen to see like rooms that are ads, you have minus and then you added the filter in it to see actual legitimate rooms. And also finally, we have private rooms too. You can add passwords to it. Let's say you have a party out and then you have you're looking at the list and you see people like applying, all these people applying, right? And if the applier leaves, the list goes upwards, right? And then you press that button at the wrong timing and then you invite someone that you did not want. Does that make sense? Okay, I don't know why this guy's here, but yeah, see? So you notice he said he canceled it, right? Oh, he appeared, so to give us an example. Nice. So it says he canceled it. And then you press OK. Okay, so that's what he did. Oh, so it was one of the viewers that wanted to show us. So that's what happens here. So that you don't accidentally click someone and invite someone that you don't want. Now going back to this is not more of a QOL thing, but you have the buffs here, the Procion's Guardian, the Procion's buff. So it has increased up to 1475. So in your roster, if you have a character that is less than 1475, you have this particular buff to get through the raids much easier. Okay. Another question that you guys been asking me about as soon as the patch came out, we have new card sets. Some of you guys are angry and some of you guys are not. So let me explain to you what the actual new cards are. So this is the new card set that anyone gets for free. This is increased 4% HP. And when your HP is under 30%, for 6 seconds, you have 20% of your max HP as shield. And it has 300-second cooldown. And this itself has 3% additional damage on top of it. You know, way better than the HP card, right? Because, you know, you just get some damage, you get some shields, and you get it for free. The new one that you guys been worrying about is this particular set. So there are 2 new sets now. What this set does, decrease in elemental damage by 15% when you get it to 6 awakening. If you get it to 12, is 0.5% additional damage to anyone, you know, your party mates and yourself. So this is Light of Salvation. This is a Lost Wind Cliff 30 awakening, a weaker one. So when you get it to 30 awakening, you have 1.5%. And some people are saying like, you know, what's the point for it? Is these 2 are Lost Wind Cliff cards already, correct? And these are blue cards. And you have 1 purple card. It's actually really hard. It's actually really easy to get it. Damage 1 is 2 cards of Light of Salvation, which is Bathor or Azena Inanna. And then you have 4 blue cards, and the purple too. So you have choices of this. And as you notice here, What this does is 15% less damage intake for elemental. If you get it to max 30, it's 12% additional damage, which is 6% less than a Light of Salvation 18. So I don't think it's that bad. The argument was, what's the point of getting this into 30 Awakening when you can just go Light of Salvation? But 2 of the cards are already being shared. So if you happen to be in a close position, if you happen to be in an unfortunate position that you only have, like let's say Balthor at max, you can add a purple card in here too. Just get it to the 30 Awakening. You're always working towards Light of Salvation, but in the way, you have another stepping stone for you to improve your damage along the way. Another QoL stuff. Tier 3, we have a honing buff where it won't cost you any gold from 1415 to 1460. So there's no gold for tap. It's going to be just silver from this point on. So I can take a look. I can check my 1445 character real quick. There we go. No gold. And you notice these arrow downs? So these arrow down means we spend 20% less on shards. 1461 is 10% less on initial shards. I mean, sorry. 60%. You guys can Google translate this to figure it out. But the very most important part is per tap is 0 gold now. It's only silver. The 1460 to 1580, which is what you guys are doing right now, the Bro Shaza area, the dead zone. The dead zone's hardest part was shards. It costed way too much shards to actually lock it in. For example, it costed 120k shards just to get it up. So my blade for fun and my artillers for fun, they were stuck. They couldn't do anything because I don't have the shards to do so. They have decreased the shard amount required to fill up the bar initially. To going to 1580, we spend 40% less shards, which is a big difference because that's almost half. So if I want to fill this up, this used to be 120k. Now it's 64.8k. Same case for all these here, 43. So you notice these things, it says the initial required experience is decreased by 40%. And on top of all of this, there is another set of research on the stronghold that can help from 1340 from plus 16 to plus 18. It increases your chance of success by 5% and decreases the amount of materials needed by 10%. So they added another stronghold buff, research buff as well. And at the same time, this is also another important one, is it costs less horns and less crystals to make the next relic set and the next ancient set. So basically, long story short, 1460 to 1580, it has been relieved by almost more than half of the requirement. So the additional stuff, so if it is the Arcturus's blessing, is you can get additional relic, the material, the Legion Raid materials from the Legion Raid. You can get double the rewards, but it's limited to 5 characters. So I don't know how this exactly works because I couldn't see it. Let me see it again. Yeah, because it's supposed to say it here, but all of my... Oh, here it is. So this is only applicable for Valten and Vicus. So if you notice this thing mark here, it says if you clear Valten up to 5 times, you get double the rewards, as in you get double the bones. So essentially 5 of your characters will be, you can get the full relic set with half the time. They decrease peons too. So tier 2, tier 1, all that stuff. Tier 1 and tier 2 cost no peons now. I don't know why it costed before. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't touch stones. They should have touched stones, but I don't understand why they didn't. But that's besides the point. But you know, for relic sets, it'll be much easier to make certain builds, certain engraving builds for the thing. So ancient, decreasing peons for ancient doesn't make sense. I mean, if they did, it'd be very nice. But if they didn't, I would just understand as well, because that's an end game accessory. Now, by summarizing of all of this stuff, this is what I think, right? So this buff is actually really, really significant. It basically halves the spending that you guys need to do to get to a con. There's 2 options. you guys won't be getting this until a con actually comes out, or you guys will be getting this to speed up the process to catch up to a con. I don't know which one's going to be, but that is not for me to decide. And Kyangil at the same time. So you guys won't be seeing this until like at earliest of like after summer, because the amount of weeks that you need to finish your Bro Shaza gear is actually much longer than you think. So you might need, like, a casual players might need about like 1 to 2 months to actually finish it up, or even 3 months. And when you're done with that, when you guys get Bro Shaza Hard to finish up the Bro Shaza Hard Ancient gear, it takes another 3, right? 2 to 3 months, right? So that's 6 months. So it's on the summertime. And when a con comes out, by the time a con comes out, maybe they will fix this, because by the time a con comes out, the players that are ahead of the game will probably be 1580 already. That's what I've been thinking. So if that is like the option 1, whatever. But if they give this now, you guys will be progressing way too fast. Because you'll still be time locked from the materials that the Legion raid gives you. But in essence, you guys will probably be getting this, and it's pretty good for players who are FOMOing. For example, when I stream, you guys always ask me like, hey, am I behind? Am I behind? Am I behind? This is a factual stuff that even if you guys play casually, later on when a con comes out, when this thing is applied, you will be spending half the amount that the initial players have been spending it. Since this is like more of a sensitive topic, we'll just keep on talking about it during like live streams whenever you guys ask. Long story short, don't worry about it too much. You guys are not going to be seeing this in a long time, because Korea, we've been having a con for quite some time now. So they're trying to bring 1490 plus like all the characters. They're trying to push all the users, the new Korean users, to 1580 so that they can enjoy a con. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. Now, a real cool thing too over here. If you press Alt Q, now it has cube and boss rushes. You guys heard me complain about this a couple times. And now a real good one for this one here is, if I go to my scouter real quick to show you an option. If you have a dialogue, instead of G, you can press Shift G to skip everything. Before showing you guys this, I wanted to see an option if I can switch Shift G into a regular G. Nope. Yeah, there's no Shift G. I think it's Shift G by default. We have to get used to pressing Shift G to skip everything. And this update is actually later than NA. Some of the quests and some of the reports, all these stuff, is converted into silver instead of gold. This is to block multi-accounters. So we got something that NA have. And I think a con got nerfed a little bit, because the worm doesn't give you a debuff. Plus, it says it doesn't paralyze you. But we probably have to look into it after actually playing it. And also at the same time for this, let me take a look within it. Other than that, it's like more of a bug change. And the last of all, the funny part is we have something called the bonus room in Cash Shop. If you buy this and this and this, you get 800 more. If you buy that and that and that, you get silver. It's called the bonus room. Time for Zeals to wipe out the shop. Okay, so I think this covered everything. In general, they have added a lot of the QoL related stuff, as they mentioned here, that they will add particular. They have talked about it in Loan December. I didn't know all of it was going to be added. So everything that the director talked about for QoL was just added today. But honestly, I think the users may have been less stressed out if he have just said that it's coming at next patch. I wonder why he didn't say that. But that's okay. So you guys have seen all the QOL stuff, right? I'm assuming you guys will get this rather quickly, like as in like by next roadmap, I think, because you guys have been, again, as I talked to you guys in the beginning of this video, I have said that I don't think there has point in time where you guys got QOL late. And when I say late, this is like beyond like 2-3 months. So I wouldn't even be surprised if you guys get it like at your next upcoming big update. Even maybe half of it, because most of these stuff are so good. Like for example, the Q boss rush, the new cards, filtering your cards, right? Filtering your cards, you know, fast animations. You can burn your silver more faster. You can burn your gold more faster for quality and gem rolling, right? You can use it faster. And then you also have the party tooltips and all these other things added in together. Okay, and I also like the Shift G skip too. I gotta get used to using the Shift G now. Okay, cool. So this covers all of it. You guys heard some of my opinion on this. The honing boosts, the nerf of the gold for the Legion rays, and all this stuff, and then you got and all these things all together, and that wraps up this update review. With that being said, this concludes the video, guys. Bye bye. TikTok.